What's good, everybody? So I just wanted to talk about the first time I ever smoked hash. Hash was a mind-blowing experience for me. I tried it about, I want to say, 2 months into my medical cannabis experience, and I love it. Now I make my own. It's really easy to make. It's one of the Earth's first cannabis concentrates. That, correct me if I'm wrong, it is the Earth's first, but or charas, I guess is. But hash is hashish is basically keef, or pollen if you're fancy, and you just apply heat and pressure to it, and it creates a nice sticky taffy, play-doughy kind of goodness that just kind of, if it's cured, it's going to be higher in CBN. If it's made from fresh plants, so charas, it's going to be higher in CBG typically. You can get these things from dispensaries, but I don't really get hash from dispensaries anymore. I kind of just prefer to make my own, because I don't have enough money to just buy a ton of hash from dispensaries. You can make a lot more than I can buy, so that's something that I find a plus. Tons of tutorials online to make hash, tons of tutorials for it, but if you want me to make one, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I was 18 still 18, but this was a little over half a year ago now, I want to say, and it was Government Oasis hash. I still remember that. No, sorry, Great Mod was my first hash, and I put a pipe screen in this green and black tiger print Sherlock pipe that I still have, and I love it. It's a great pipe, but it's a nice little spoon pipe. And let me tell you, folks, this got me so fucking faded. I mean, I just remember this being just such a sedating, it was a very tingly experience. I remember there being almost as if everything around me was ASMR. Just, it was weird. It was really weird, but it was nice. It was different. It was different from taking dab, and it was different from smoking bud. It was almost as if it was the sweet in between. The Great Mod hash that I had at that time was super sedating. It was very sedating. I think it was 1 gram for $25, which to me now it just sounds kind of silly because I make the shit, but it's like, honestly, that shit was worth it. It was good. I remember it to this day, just smelling super fruity and tangy and gassy, just so good. I think it was a GMO and grape ape kind of. I think it was grape ape and GMO. That shit was so fucking good. Smoked it with a couple other friends of mine too, and they all really enjoyed it. I think it was all their first time smoking hashish as well. But yeah, it's kind of a classic. I kind of wish more people talked about it. I know there's a lot of ice water hash users and crumble users, in the Puffco community. But I don't have a Puffco. I have this E-rig that I got for like maybe a third of the price of a Puffco. It kind of fucking sucks, so I'm not gonna lie. It's called the Mini Unicorn by Luca. If you own one of those, I'm sorry. But yeah, I just take dabs out of a banger now. That's really all I use. I just really want terp pearls because I don't have any terp pearls. I got a carb cap though. I can take dabs without terp pearls. It's not a big deal. It's just better to have them. But this hash, you couldn't really dab. You can't really dab this kind of hash. It has too much plant matter in it. If you wanted to dab hash, I would recommend iced water hash, hash rosin, or full melt hash is another possibility. But even that, you're gonna dirty up your banger real quick. Unless it's some good shit. If you made it yourself though, and it's, you don't have good equipment like me, then it's entirely possible that it's not going to be the smoothest thing to dab. But yeah, for the most part, I just combust my hash, whether I put it in a bong, bubbler, or dry pipe. It's the same thing I'm combusting it. I've never really felt the need to vaporize my hashish. I don't think I really, yeah, I can't find myself in a position where I would do that. I could only possibly think of doing that if I was like fucking around and tried hot knifing it or something. Like with a soda bottle and the two hot knives. But that's ridiculous. Like I don't think I've seen people do that in the present day in fucking 2024. I think hot knifing might be a lost art. Because there's just so many better ways to smoke hash. And bud, for real. Because I know people would hot knife bud. That's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, shit, like, I don't know, I guess it's the first dry herb vape, but damn, dude, hot knives. It's gotta be so bad. I don't know, it just doesn't look right. I feel, hey, look, no judgment, right? We've all smoked out of tinfoil at one point, or a Coke can at some point. But, sometimes when you're a stoner, you find yourself smoking out of an item that is not your usual pick. Let's just say that. Speaking of which, I actually just cut a tree up, cut the old Christmas tree in my backyard, and I cut a little piece off the top, and I made my own pipe out of it, and it actually is functional. Barely works, so hey, that's pretty sweet. I was thinking about smoking some hash out of that, but anywho, yeah, I would recommend smoking hash by combusting it with some bud. A chillum is good too if you know how to use it right. If you know, you know. But if you use a chillum as a one hitter, you ain't doing shit right, man. You gotta learn. You gotta learn the ways. And I'll teach different ways how to use chillums too, but there's tons of cool tutorials on YouTube. But, yeah. I used to think chillums were lame because I just thought they were one hitters, but nah. A chillum is a fucking, you can turn anything into a pipe with a chillum. Like, think of it that way. Or you can think of it as that chillum also works as a honey straw. That chillum also can hold a joint. That chillum, you could screen it and put hash in there, which is what I would typically do. Other things I've put in a chillum, just bud, straight up bud. But I've also put salvia in a chillum. That was my favorite way of smoking salvia because I feel like that was the most mediated way. I feel like the other ways I did it was just kind of, it was just very in my face. It was like, oh my god, this is definitely delirium psychedelic. But the other times it was very chill, more comparable to weed. But yeah, I actually really like salvia. I have some pretty positive experiences with it. Extrapolated some pretty good messages from it. I think my favorite psychedelic of all time has to be psilocybin. But we're talking about hash here. What am I talking about? Anywho, yeah, hash is the shit, dude. Hash is amazing. I love hash. I used to think it was super hard to come across until I learned how easy it was to make. I mean, I felt super dumb when I learned. You literally just needed a fucking pollen press and a fucking flattening iron. That's it. Flattening iron, pollen press. That's it, dude. That's all you need. And of course, parchment paper. Yeah, you're gonna want some parchment paper too. But yeah, pretty much any extract I really personally want to make is just out of those. Some people fuck around. They use solvents. They use ice water. That's really cool, but I do not have the appropriate tools or equipment to do that right now. Nor do I have the space or time, really. I got a fucking 7-hour shift tomorrow. I don't even think I'll be able to fucking smoke. Which is fine. I mean, I'm not dependent on it. I've gone days, weeks without it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a problem. I do have my med card, and I do use it medicinally, and I do find that it helps me with a multitude of different things. And it's not really something I need to go into in this video, but hey, anxiety, OCD symptoms, that's all I'll say, man. Cannabis really helps with that shit. In my humble opinion, it helped for me. But yeah, my first time smoking weed actually wasn't even bud or hash or anything classic. It was cart, and it was a blueberry cart apparently. This was like fucking what 2020, 2021. So I was like dumb. I was in high school. I've been doing deliriants at this time too, but I didn't know that they were like powerful. I was taking I was taking DXM and Blue Lotus at that time as well, but I was not taking that Blue Lotus shit correctly. I was just pounding that shit down, literally just convincing myself that I was not real and like a psychosis kind of thing. Like, it was really weird. I do not recommend misusing deliriants to anybody, especially over-the-counter medicines of any kind. Really not a good idea. I mean, in all seriousness, that shit is so fucking bad for you. It's a shocker to me that it's legal, in all seriousness. Because I did all that shit before I even touched weed, which is crazy to think about. I mean, I know a ton of people were in my position too. That was kind of the normal thing to do, if that makes any sense. Where I'm at, that's kind of a thing where if you don't want to, if you're kind of like scared to do, a certain illegal drug for whatever reason, you'll find a different way to get fucked up. It's typically not a very healthy way of doing things, but it's what a lot of people do over here. Some people it's because they're on probation. Some people it's because they're a pussy and they don't want to get caught, or they're, a kid. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of what I did before I smoked weed, and then I started smoking weed. I loved it. I started with concentrates out of a pen, and then I worked my way up to bud, and I loved bud. Yeah, and then I found hash, and I was like, wow, this is my all-time favorite way of consuming cannabis yet. You know what I mean? Like, this is my all-time favorite. I felt as if it delivered exactly what I wanted in the exact method that I wanted, exactly, like, in the exact strength and potency. So, hey, I hope y'all like this video on hash, and I hope y'all take care.
If this man, yeah,